I. 18th of December the 12th 0. Avticum, Helvetia, Germania Superior. The Roman Empire. 200 Rhaetian youth are celebrating Saturnalia. The trees are decorated with balls, silver jewels, a golden sea star and presents beneath. The 200 Rhaetians come from prominent families in Rhaetia. Their parents own businesses, large farms, fleet of ships and storehouses. Some are the children of politicians and religious leaders. They all attended a semester at the Academy of Avticum, learning mysticism and the art of persuasion. This is their last week in the country of the Helvetians before returning back to their families. Most of those students never met each other before attending the Helvetian Academy. Now after 3 months they celebrate the end of the year with the Saturnalia feast. Some of them became friends, others remained loners. One of those loners was a girl named Cynthia. Her father serves in the city council of Cluj and even served as the president of the council for 2 years. Cynthia only attended the semester due to the pressure of her parents. She sees no use in attending school. From experience she knows that most of the time you only get a job because of the associates you have, not because of your qualifications. Furthermore, women are not highly thought of anyway within the Roman Empire. Cynthia takes some white wine from the bar. There she sees Lothia, also called Lot. She is a princess from the Rhaetian and Videlicia royal houses. She has quite some girls around her. Then Lot appears at the bar. "Hello there, guess someone wants to get drunk tonight." "Me." Cynthia gets uncomfortable, yet shows a sweet smile. "Why? You're all in your own, and this is your 5th glass already. You've been watching me then?" "Kind of." "What's your name?" "Cynthia Arias." Cynthia finished her cup. "And you're the princess?" "Well, yes." "Who told you that?" "Everyone talks about you. You're quite popular." "Popular? Well, you make friends easily." "Those people aren't my friends, Cyn. Furthermore, life as a royalty is shit." "It's not what you think it is." Cynthia was surprised. And she became a little shaky. Due to the wine. "Come." Lot grabs her and takes her to her room and closes the door. The student apartment complex is empty because most are still partying on the central square of the city. Cynthia lies on Lot's bed. After around 2 hours she awakes. "Enjoyed all the wine." "Where am I?" "My student apartment. Everyone else is getting drunk and losing it right now. You didn't look that well, so I brought you here." Cynthia sits and grabs one of the pillows. The room is beautiful, furnished, and there are even maps of Roman provinces there and other philosophical scrolls. I didn't drink 5 cups of wine." "You did. Then why did you approach me?" "I don't get the chance often to just talk with people without them wanting some benefits from me. Besides, you were quite depressed. I've noticed you since day 1. You looked nice company." "True. You're right." Benefits. You mean sex?" "Also. Mostly money. I even had a few women trying to kidnap me. To get a ransom from my grandfather." "Who is your grandfather?" "Oh dear. I hope that doesn't happen all the time." Rhaetus IV, king of Rhaetia, he abdicated from the throne 9 years ago for his son, my half-uncle, Rusai. So you're really a princess? Stop calling me that. I'm Lot. Sorry. How old are you? 17. I'm 15, almost 16. You don't have any friends, do you? No, I don't. I'm not that social. Why did you attend this semester then? To please my dad. He's a very sick man. He lies and cheats to get his way. He has committed fraud often while being the president of the city council in Cluj. That's how he became rich. And by sleeping with some old soldiers. That's not quite honorable of you. There's nothing honorable about him, so it would be dishonorable to lie about it, and I don't want to. What will you do when you head back to Cluj? Probably hang around in the library, reading books, checking out the women. Lot was surprised. You're into girls? Well, there aren't enough men around in the west of Rhaetia. There are double as more women than men, and most of the men are old and sodomites. So, I'm looking for a young woman to befriend and live with as a companion. Maybe you can move to another district of Rhaetia. I'm sure you'll find attractive men over there. As I've said before, I'm not that social, and I don't like ending up as a house slave for the rest of my life either. Cynthia stands up and walks towards Lot and puts her arms around her chest, hugging her from behind. Which handsome prince will you marry? Well, Dad didn't try to find a mate for me yet. I'm not sure if he ever will. He's quite disinterested in me. All he does is arguing with Mum, getting drunk with his dispute members at the secret society, and coming home late. You're disappointed. Lot feels how Cynthia licks her neck softly and unties her garment. She doesn't resist. What are you doing? Her garment falls on the floor and Cynthia begins to gently squeeze her breasts, and her flingers play with Lot's eyeballs, while at the same time Cynthia's tongue has its way in Lot's left ear. Lot gets scared. Even though she likes the excitement, she is confused. Cynthia. I'm still a virgin. This is quite embarrassing. Good. It's all right. I won't hurt you, princess. Don't rape me. Please. She turns Lot around and forces her tongue in her mouth, and they kiss for a while till Lot was calmed down. Then suddenly, she throws her violently upon the bed. Lot just lies there and sees how Cynthia undresses herself. She has a nice thin body, just like Lot. Her brunette long hair falls till her breasts. Take off your underwear. Lot obeys. Cynthia smells on the undergarment and throws it in the corner of the room. She commands Lot to turn around and snell on the bed with her face towards the wall, while her head lies on the pillows. Lot realizes that Cynthia is physically stronger than her and strong-willed. She cooperates, not knowing what to expect. You have a nice bum, Lot. She massages the bum of the princess. Lot feels she pleasure of the massage, but feels violated at the same time. Thanks. What are you doing? Cynthia looks for the anus of the girl, and forces her tongue into it and begins to kiss it wildly. Stop, this is humiliating. Lot's sad voice doesn't affect Cynthia at all. Every time she tries to move to get away, the abuser forces her back with her hands. After a few minutes she stops resisting. Lot then feels how she is turned on her back, her legs spread wide, and how the woman's soft tongue licks her clit. The sensation in her body is overwhelming. The woman also sucks at the clit for a while. Your pussy is wet. Let's taste it. And she does. Lot moans and moans, then Lot comes. And Cynthia licks her pussy till it is clean. The next morning Lot wakes up and she finds herself together with Cynthia naked, while Cynthia is holding her tight against her own body and caressing her breasts. You're mine now, princess. And she begins to lick the nipples of her victim. The victim smiles and pushes her up and kisses her. Let's take a bath and get something to eat, Lot said. 2. Cynthia and Lot were sitting near a pillar in the library, behind a desk, reading some scrolls about the history of the Hebrews, who were called Jews. There's a Jew in the meeting of the corporations. How do you know? Lot became interested and stopped reading. I saw the politicians and business people from Vidilisha yesterday before we met at the bar. So how are you sure he's a Jew? He's black, like the Egyptians. And he is keeping the Sabbath and he doesn't follow the religious customs of the Romans, Greeks and natives in this area. You've spoken with him? With one of the women from his hometown. They all say he's weird. What did you found out about him? He's rich. He works at the municipality of Brigabo for the legal system. He is also an ethnographer. He studies the cultures of tribes. He has a big house near the lake harbor. So, what's so weird about that? He is married with 2 women. A Greek slave and a young German woman, and already has 5 children with them, and he's only 27. Multiple wives. And that's not all. Rumors say that his great-grandfather was a worshipper of Neptune in Italy, a criminal, robber, rapist and murderer. His grandfather and father were both gang leaders also in Oricum and Italy. That's where he has gotten his wealth. A member from a criminal syndicate. Serving the legal system. Interesting, isn't it? Lot thinks for a moment. Cynthia, why don't you become his mistress? Pardon? Why not? He's rich, has a rich family too, he's into polygamy. And you're young and hot, so why not benefit from it? Lot sees Cynthia is smiling and adds, then you can have a man that pleases you, a real man, not those wimps in your neighborhood. Ha 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 ha, right. Don't worry about me. Why don't you become his concubine? Me? You're a princess of Rhaetia and of Vidilisha. It's wise to get involved with a man that's wealthy and has a stable financial basis. That way you have certainty that you and your offspring will be well off. The Roman Empire is weakened and the client kingdoms are also discontent with the economy within the empire. Rome will not last for long, so I wouldn't count on the royal status of your clan for a long time. How do I approach him? Do it tonight. Just go talk with him and tell him that you're interested in visiting his city and that you request him to provide a guide for you. Also tell him about your royal status and that of your elder sister. As a politician he should be intrigued by that. Lot closed the scroll and puts it back into its place. About last night. What about it? Cynthia licks her lips. It never happened, okay. Her Highness is embarrassed. So cute. Don't. Okay. Let's do it like this. Get involved with the Jew, and once you've become his mistress, you'll share some of the wealth with me. You're wicked. So you're telling me you didn't enjoy it? Don't lie to me. Lot is still confused whether she should feel violated or comfortable. Come here. For some strange reason, Lot felt safe obeying her. It was as if some spirit was inside Cynthia that dragged her towards her. Cynthia grabs her by her hips and forces her on her lap. We are a great team. You'll get a marriage with a rich guy and the approval of your parents for finding a right man. What's in it for you? Lot leans towards her. Cynthia glides 2 fingers between Lot's legs, inside her vagina. This is what's in it for me. Lot moans while Cynthia sucks her eyeballs or plays with her clit. When Cynthia notices that Lot become wet, she lays her on the carpet near the desk and undresses her. Cynthia closes the door of the room and locks it. Cynthia then kisses Lot in her mouth and spread her legs. She does the same and brings them together like 2 scissors that are crossed together. Cynthia sits on her right tight with her open legs and holds the left leg of Lot in the air. And she begins scissoring her, rubbing her vulva against that of Lot and against the skin of her thigh. This she was doing to express her dominance upon her and to weaken Lot emotionally. After a while Cynthia stands up. She still had her other clothes on. She opens the door and leaves. Lot is trying to figure out what to do with the circumstance. I'll better get up, dressed and leave before someone finds me like this. She thinks I'll figure this out later. 3. When Lot leaves the room she encounters Julia, one of her classmates. Julia seems surprised. Julia, what's wrong? So, you're having a relationship with Cynthia? None of your business. She rushes to get away. Not so fast. She grabs her at her arm and stops her. What are you doing? Lot gets scared. Let me go. I saw you 2 leaving together yesterday evening and I noticed that she left your room this morning. And now I hear you moaning here and she leaves the room and you're left all by yourself. What do you want? The truth. Why do you care? Lot then realizes what's going on. Oh dear, not you too. Julia grabs her at her neck and choked her against the wall. I can't. Can't, breath. What does that bitch have that I don't? What? What? Julia releases her. And she falls down. Visit me tonight. Or your dirty secret will turn public. Lot runs away. That night she met a Jew named Althus and she was invited by him to visit his hometown. She wrote the address down on a piece of paper and hid it in her room. She then heads towards the dorm of Julia and knocks. Julia opens and she walks in. Sit down and she does. Julia opens a scroll and reveals her a government document, written in Greek and Helvetia. What is it? Read. From the governor of Germania superior to the city council of Avticum. Today I have given an imperial pardon to 5 traitors of the empire. They are from the Eleme people. They are banned to live in the colonies in Helvetia, under the supervision of the army that resides in Helvetia. Their punishment was annulled due to the social unrest that might occur if they were executed. These men are found guilty of worshipping Jesus of Nazareth as God and they are refusing to pay any homage nor respect to the Greek gods and the native Celtic deities. They also refused to acknowledge the judicial authority in their hometowns. They have led to the bankruptcy of several villas, by covering many slaves, women, children and prostitutes towards their faith. This led to a rebellion of the slave masters, which costs 18 lives and 2,500,000 denarii in damage in the cities. I fear that executing these men would turn them into martyrs and thereby add in wood to the fire. The converts are a number around 190 people. Most of them are now put in jails and are waiting their trial by the court of law. I want you to record every move of these 5 men, and if they break any law, you are free to execute them without trial. They were financed by a Jew from Juvavum, Oricum, named, in Greek, Altheos Hebraicos. He is married to a German woman from Germania Inferior and he studied in Britain and Iberia. This man is, according to the research of my investigators, a politician who is now serving in the country Vidilisha, which is in the province Rhaetia. I beseech all of you, to invite this man to the yearly conference in Avticum. This in order to find out more about him and his activities. Do not arrest him nor put him to trial. He has Roman citizenship and he is well known among the Jews in diaspora near the Rhine River. Send also spies after him when he leaves the conference. And report to me all that you find out about him. He has supported the cult of Christianity with at least 1,600 denarii. Economic support to traitors of the empire is prohibited by law. So are you, if you refuse to follow this order. I heard Cynthia proposing you to become the mistress of this man. I thought you needed to know this about him. You'll be in danger if you are seen around him. Lot hides the scroll. Aren't we all in danger? It isn't a coincidence that we attended this semester here. As people from the higher Roman class, we are envied by the commoner. The commoner never sends others out to spy on people who didn't intend harm on them. Julia gives her another scroll. In the scroll she reads the names of all the 200 Rhaetian students and an endnote to report all suspicious behavior from any of them. So they don't trust us. She's shocked. We are Roman citizens, right? We are brothers and sisters. That's all bullshit. In the world of adults nobody trusts each other. If so, then why did that piece of trash Cynthia rape you? Don't tell anyone. You really think that something like that will remain hidden? Grow up. Lot realizes that it's true. Come, let's go to the baths. Why? Nobody is there at night. Let's go. Tonight I want to have you all to myself. 4. At the bathhouse the 2 youngsters make love, and this time it's Lot that has the dominant role. Afterward they wash themselves. When they are about to leave they notice some movement in the streets. Hold on. Lot stops Julia. Then 2 soldiers walk by. Let's hide. They hide behind some bushes and the darkness of the night is in their advantage. The soldiers enter into the bathhouse and search through it. Nothing here. Let's move on. He can't be far. The 2 youngsters follow the soldiers till they arrive at the central square. To not be discovered they hide inside an empty shop. They see how the 2 soldiers are approached by the president of the court of law. Here is your wage. Now help us replace the spoil. The 2 soldiers help some slaves with the carrying of some bags towards the temple of Astarte. The youngsters witness everything and also that all the men disappear. They walk inside the temple and they notice an open door that's hidden behind a pillar. Let's go. Lot demands. After they've entered they walk down a stairs and they arrive at an archive. Wow, What is this for? Julia is amazed. It seems like a whole library, hidden in the temple, with the recorded history. Look at this. Julia points to a scroll in the wall, named Vivum Lusitanium, which is Latin for gold from Lusitania. Let's take some scrolls with us. They soon leave the place and return to their dorms, unnoticed. V. 26th of December the 12th 0. Curia, Rhaetia, province of Rhaetia. The Roman Empire. Lot is in her room, at her parents' house. Her parents aren't at home for several of days. Her father is in Italy with his fraternity, enjoying the holidays. Her mother is hooking up with one of her many lovers. Her elder sister is writing letters to her friends in Aquitania. There she is, with scrolls about gold from Lusitania. Julia lives in a village near Brigatium. They've promised to visit each other from time to time. Lot decides to do something that could get her in serious trouble. She calls 2 female slaves of mother. One was called Quia, 19 years old. She was sold into slavery by the landlord of her parents in order to issue giracial debts. The other slave is Fia, she is 17. Her parents are also slaves in her mother's staff. She writes a fake government decree in the name of a major that doesn't exist. The letter is aimed at a harbor in Massalia. According to the scrolls she took from Avticum, there are boxes filled with gold from Spain and Lusitania in the harbor. She read carefully and knows the secret password of the criminals to come and withdraw gold from the criminal bank. From Publius Valerius Rhaetus, mayor of Civitas Sileticum. To the harbor chief of Massalia, Arboisis. Greetings be to you. These 2 couples here are sent to receive their inheritance from the household of Osubas, from the city Pax Julia. The famous code is, Avsticti Northeast Habet Neo Oeo. Let each couple redeem 2.500000 denarii from our bank and let each receive 5 slaves and 2 chariots. Av copyright symbol Caesar. Okay, listen Cluya and Fia. Back in Avticum, 2 days back, I've met a Jew, who is a scholar politician that's living with his wives in Brigabo, in the kingdom Videlicia. Brigabo isn't far from here. Within 2 weeks I'll visit Brigabo to get a tour through the city. I want you girls to join me. Cluya became uncomfortable. What about your parents? Don't worry about them. I'm responsible, and she grabs the letter she wrote 5 times here. Take it, both of you. Go and take Precious and Beatus and travel together with the fast chariot to Massalia. Deliver these letters to the harbor master and also take this scroll with you. Pretend to be heirs of an aristocratic Lusitania family. And take the money and return. That would take very long. Fia was confused. If you take the military highway through the Alps, you'll be there very quickly. I'll pay the chariots and the soldiers. Go. The 2 girls do as commanded. Within 3 days they arrived at Massalia and they redeemed 5.000000 denarii and 2.000000 silver coins. They also returned with 10 slaves. When they returned, only 7 days passed. 6. 3th January the 12th 1. Curia, Rhaetia, province of Rhaetia. The Roman Empire. The Roman soldiers received each 800 denarii to keep silent about the whole operation. The 10 slaves each received an apartment in Videlicia and the ability to learn another profession. Also, false passports were created with Roman citizenships so they could have a new life. From the 5 million denarii, 3 million denarii was left, after the bribes were paid. 3 million golden Lusitania coins, with the imagery of Emperor Claudius on them. The parents of Lot didn't notice anything. Her mother was still at her lover's house and her father was still in Italy. He would be back home within a week. The parents of Phia fled to Aquitania with 120,000 denarii to start a new life. They would settle in the Aquitania capital Burdigala, there where many refugees also lived. Phia and Cluja were informed by Lot's plan to get her sister married to the Hebrew scholar and hopefully to marry herself and both Phia and Cluja to him too, as concubines. They agreed with it. Lot, Bethy, Cluja, Phia and 2 guards both entered a chariot. The 3,000,000 denarii was placed in another 2 chariot, together with vessels of olive oil, white wine and baskets of fruits. The 3 chariots left in the early afternoon. 7. Lot, Bethy and their 2 maid-servants came into the city Brigabo, in the kingdom Videlicia. The kingdom Videlicia and the kingdom Rhaetia are both under one provincial administration of the empire under the name Province Rhaetia. The Videlicia tribe has around 260,000 inhabitants, the Rhaetians have around 600,000 inhabitants. There are several noble Videlicia and Rhaetian families who remain separate in marriages. Only the Videlicia royal house and the Rhaetian royal house intermarries with each other. This in an attempt to keep peace between the 2 nations within the Roman province. The 2 guards who are riding the horses find the address of the Hebrew. The house is a big mansion, with many fruit trees planted at the gates and in the gardens. Furthermore, there are many pets walking around freely on the property. The chariot stops at the gate. "Here is it, Your Highness." Lot and Bethy step outside and walk into the property. Before they reach the door, a few cats come after them. The kittens are only curious and attack them not. Bethy picks one of them and plays with it. They knock on the door. Nobody answers. They knock again. Then they see a red-headed woman at their right side who approach them. She is tall, with lipstick on, and wearing a toga, with heels. "Can I help you?" "We are Lot and Bethy, from the kingdom Rhaetia. We were invited by the lord of this house, Althus, for a guided tour through Brigabo." Bethy hands over a written and signed document of Althus. "We are here with 2 girl slaves, who are keeping us company. Is Althus at home?" "Number?" "He is in Alemia at the moment. He will return within 5 days. I'm Roxanne, his wife. He told me about it." "Well, go around to the back garden. There's a bath over there. I'll see you there in a moment, together with your slaves. You will stay at our home till my husband returns." The 2 sisters return to the chariots. The 2 guards unpack their stuff and bring them to the back garden. All the Lusitania money included. The whole thing took around an hour. The sisters and their slaves were already bathing in the bath. The guards were commanded to return back and report the matter to the sisters' parents. They were not allowed to say anything about the Spanish robbery that the sisters had committed with some locals. After the guards left, Roxanne commands her 3 male slaves to cook an afternoon meal for their guests. When the sisters came out of the bath, they were called to the table. They ate and became satisfied, also they drank lots of wine. When it was night, the sisters received a room and the 2 servants a room. Roxanne lied to them. Althus was already back from Alemia. He was staying in his other apartment across the street, with the children. That night when Althus came back home, she grabbed him into her small bedroom. "Rox, what's going on? That girl you invited over, she is here." "Well, that's all right. We discussed this. She didn't came alone. Her sister and 2 slaves are with her. So, I don't trust them. I told them you are coming back within 5 days. Why did you do that for?" "I want to test them and know them a bit better. She's just a tourist. And it's not normal for women to just travel around on their own in the Empire. You know that very well." He sits on the bed. "Where are they now?" "They are here. I've given them 2 rooms to lodge in." "Good. Then I'll stay away from here for a while. For 4 days, lest you appear as a liar unto them. By the way, the children are doing well. Their teacher is happy with their progress." "Good to hear that. Now you have rest for a while. It isn't easy having so many children around. I drank a lot of wine, so I'm going to sleep now. I'm a bit drunk." "Fine. I'll go back to the apartment then. Tomorrow midday I have a ceremony to attend. They are inaugurating a new member into the city council. The mayor is planning to resign, due to the scandals that became public. Stay out of it, Simon. You have more experience than me with those Romans. They are delicious. Germans. But I feel you. They think like Romans and therefore in heart they are Romans. When things go wrong, like when scandals turn into public secrets, they will always look for someone to blame. And you're a Jew. So that's already something they might use against you. There are more Hebrews living in this area. Idlisha has around 4 synagogues spread over the country. I want to invite my father to visit us. Frisier is about 2 weeks away from here. With tilde. Not going myself. I've sent 2 messengers to pick him up. They left 4 days ago. They will bring the whole family over here. I'm financing everything. Don't he forget that at the imperial borders they may be arrested. The empire is very suspicious of immigrants visiting their domestic cities. My dad had bought a Roman citizenship, remember? So with that, my relatives have an advantage. I was thinking about building another barn with apartments in it. For whom? My family. I like to have them close to me. I am not sure if they are willingly to leave their comfort zone. Living in this border province would imply that they have to register into the bureaucracy, which would make them obliged to pay taxes. They might end up in prison or on the slave market if they don't contribute to the local economy. They too live with us. If they are legally free, then they can fine us for hiding them. They will either have to become legal slaves or integrated into society. Simon, we live at the edge of the city. There aren't many Roman legionaries around here. Most of them are in the capital. Besides, you work at the government. Find a way to cheat on the taxes, and buy some false passports for them if needed. I can do that, dear. Don't worry about it. However, you will be responsible for them when they are here. You've taken a big risk by venturing this. Nobody reaches anything in life without venturing. This whole comfortable and wealthy life we have now, it can be over any time. A Germanic gang of robbers only have to cross the Doub River and plunder some villages. And there will be great social unrest in Rhaetia. And you know what happens during social unrest. Disasters. The poor people and slaves tend to revolt also and rob the wealthy and rich. And when that happens, Rome will send more soldiers. And they will crush whole communities and get away with it. I know. I know that way too well. So, I prefer having my relatives here with me if all hell breaks loose. It can be that soon the legions in Lower Germany decide to annex more lands in Greater Germany. Frisia is not under Roman rule, yet the politicians and legionaries in Lower Germany have an enormous influence on the economic and social relations between the villages, cities and islands of the Frisians. If they would ever decide to annex Frisia, it would end badly for my relatives. They won't do that. The legions in Lower and Upper Germany are disciplined to obey orders from Rome. And Lower and Upper Germany already have its social problems, especially with the regulation of public and private roads. To annex Frisia into Lower Germany would imply that they would have to enforce Roman law upon the Frisians and include them with Roman citizenship. This would mean that they would have to reorganize the whole military and administrative infrastructure. This would take at least a decade. And the risks are enormous. So, don't worry about that. But get your people over. They are safer here. Often German lowlifes from Greater Germany also siege German villages. And conflicts about lakes and small rivers are quite common. Also in Frisia. It's only because of the presence of the legions at the Rhine that the Frisians and nearby tribes decide to cooperate. If they become weaker on a domestic level, they are easy to be invaded. By the way, tomorrow I will go and see Rosa and Mia. They are still 4 months old. So I want to spend more time with them. Yes, I was a bit depressed past month, but the kids need me. I can let them bring them over here. That will be better. Fine, do what you want. For now. Leave. I'm gonna sleep. 8. Roxanne sleeps till 20 minutes past midnight. Her sleep is gone. Then she rises up and stares outside the window. The stars are bright from here. She can also see the lake from her viewpoint and some ships that are sailing at this hour. She leaves her room and walks towards the room of the 2 sisters. She sneaks inside, they are in a deep sleep. She leaves. She walks outside, towards the lake. Everybody is inside sleeping. It will be morning very soon. It's a bit cold. She has a scarf with her against the cold. The harbor house is near her. About 400 meters. She walks towards the harbor. At the harbor there are 2 empty ships and 5 lamps illuminate the spot. She walks past them. She realized that nobody was there. Normally, there will be at least 2 legionaries who guard the harbor. Normally there would be employees who are awake at night inside the office. This is quite odd. Roxanne notices that the door of the building is open. She decided to enter in. Inside everything is clean and well furnished. She is trespassing. She is aware of it. In the office, in the basement, in the storeroom nobody is there. She can easily go through the files. And she does. While she is sitting at the desk, Bethy appears behind her. She is terrified when she felt that someone was there, but soon was relieved it was only the Rhaetian woman. What are you doing here, Roxanne? The same I can ask you. How did you knew I was here? I was woken when you entered our room. I thought you only wanted to see if we were doing well. But you forgot a ring when you left. So I followed you, but I saw that you went to the harbor. So here I am. She gives her the bronze German ring. Here it is. Ah, thank you very much. She smiles. It's very kind of you. We shouldn't be here. We are in big trouble if they find out. If they find out. Bethy. If they find out. So what are you doing? She sits next to her behind this desk. It's quite strange that this place is empty like this. I did saw ships sailing away when I was watching from my window. Well, maybe there's an invasion somewhere. Some German army they needed to fight. So the guards were called to the riverfront. Maybe. I'm just guessing. That doesn't explain why there are no travelers lodging here. And why the employees aren't doing their night shift. Bethy thinks for a while. Roxanne, you saw some ships leaving when you watched outside of your room, right? Right. Maybe all people around here left. What for? Maybe there's a celebration in Rhaetia, or there's a war coming here. True. But there are many legionaries around the Dorp frontiers. That doesn't prevent invasions nor civil war. Civil war. Look, Roxanne. I'm not sure if you're a native from this area. I am Frisian from a German tribe. Near the Rhine front in Lower Germany. Good. Then there are things you should know about this place. The Rhaetians are on good terms with Rome. Mainly because of the trade in Rhaetian wine, which is popular throughout the world. However, there are many vendettas among the Rhaetians. The civil and criminal courts aren't capable of locking up too many prisoners. A military intervention will escalate into massacres. If Rhaetia falls, the trade routes towards Helvetia will fall. Besides that, the Veidlishers have a lot of contact with Germanic barbarian tribesmen who regularly visit Veidlicia. In the past the Rhaetians became suspicious of this. This led to fights among the administration in both Veidlicia and in Rhaetia, because the Rhaetians began to commit fraud and exploit the banks in Veidlicia. For this cause the Roman Senate decided to merge Veidlicia and Rhaetia both under one administration, to be one province with two peoples. This decision was compensated with lower taxes for both areas to appease the people. By merging the administrations, the economic relations between the two countries increased and the tensions were reduced. But there are still enmity among the Rhaetians. The Veidlishers are more at peace with each other. I'm from the royal house of Rhaetia, which is related also by marriage to the royal house of Veidlicia. This is the amulet of my villa. She showed the amulet with the eagle sign on it. A princess. So you and your sister are are good. Lot was invited by your husband for a tour. So we both decided to attend it. It's pleasing and relaxing for us to flee the negativity back at home. I never realized things are that intense. In the Auric Kingdom, there was a big massacre a couple of decades ago in the city Juvava, due to rivalries among the civilians. The Auric rulers decided to blame it on Rhaetian farmers that lived within the borders of Auricum, and they executed them to appease the Auric people. It almost led to a war between Rhaetians and the Auric villages. There are still many peasants as noble people till this day that remember that history, which they were learned by their grandparents. I always thought that the closer you are to Rome, the safer it is. Well, if you live in Italy itself, you are relatively safe. The closer you are to the riverfront, the more dangerous life is. I talked about that today with my husband. I will bring my German relatives over to live with us on the property. We will build more apartments when needed. I want them around me. That's understandable. I realize very well that the Roman rule can end any time. Those people in Rome think they are superior. They are not. Every empire and every kingdom will eventually collapse. And often they collapse at their peak. True to that. The only reason why the Rhaetian kingdom is still functioning is because of the Roman rule. Before the Rhaetian clans came under Roman rule, you didn't have a Rhaetian nation or a Rhaetian unity. You have different clans, each with their family divisions and their chiefs, elders and warriors as leaders. Trade was exclusively between the Rhaetians and the other tribes around. When the Romans came, the Rhaetians surrendered. The Rhaetians receives public roads and military protection. Because Emperor Augustus wanted to have unity among them, he appointed one Romanized family as the leading dynasty in the province. 10 years later, a young boy of that family received the title king and we became a unified kingdom under Rome. The kingdom contributed to the growth in agriculture, winery, construction of new cities and the rise of the population. From 110,000 we went to 600,000. And the rise in the population delivered many young men for the army also. So you have any political ambitions? Nope. Well, I want to find a husband and have a few kids for him. That way my dynasty will continue. Then you'll need to marry someone who is royal also. I don't really mind. Women have a lot of influence in Rhaetia. Most of the men are ruled by women anyway. So, you will get some block of the street to impregnate you. Of course not. She laughs hard. No. Absolutely not. I was married before. But I couldn't conceive. So he began cheating on me. My father, who is the brother of the present Rhaetian client king, annulled the marriage. Also because he began to physically abuse me. Ouch. That's hard. Well, I'm over it. But how come you married a Hebrew? Well, he visited my city in Frisia, near the Vidrus River, together with some other people. We met over there. And after a while we slept together and I conceived. We moved to the Auric Kingdom and lived there for a while. We've been here for about 5 years now, I believe. And I have 4 now. So romantic. No, it's not. It's not always easy. Also because he has some concubines. That's common among the Hebrews, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But that's why they survive as a people. They procreate a lot, despite conflicts and poverty. If a nation or a tribe slows down on procreation, they are in danger of becoming extinct by old age or massacred by foreign armies. It's wise. Besides that, if there ever is a famine, you are more likely to survive. Because if you have many children, those children can get employed or they can steal to keep the family alive. We live in reality here. 9. At the same time there were ambassadors of Thlos IX, the king of both Savaria and Karbwa, in Videlicia. They were sent to secure his investments in the Roman Rhaetian banks. His investment contains 120.000 denarii of governmental loans, and 20.000 pieces of cattle whom he sold to Rhaetian rural corporations. Thlos was grown in Karbwa, but his father was a prince from the kingdom Savaria. When the heir to the throne of Karbwa died of cancer, he was appointed heir because women were not allowed to become head of state among the Karbwas. He was crowned king 1 month later. And 5 years later the widow of the king of Savaria married him and he became the king of Savaria also. The Karbwas and Savarias are two kin tribes that are related anyway. Their languages and customs were similar. Yet, none of the people had any interest in a unification of both nations. Intermarriage only happened among the noble families. Thlos visited the Roman cities at the Danube River when he was in his 2020s. His journey took 1 year and 4 months. He became pro-Roman after being impressed by Roman justice and the structure of Roman cities. At age 29 he was crowned king of the Karbwa. He was still a bachelor at the time. His half-brother became the king of Savaria, but died in a battle against Sarmatia vagabonds. Consequently, Thlos was forced into the marriage with the queen consort of the Savarii. She conceived and a son was born, Festos. Festos is 33 and he lives in the Roman colony Odessus, also called Odessa, at the western shores of the Uzi Sea, close to the Roman province Dacia. Due to the declining health of Thlos he is expected to become king very soon. Festos is married with 2 noble girls, a Savaria girl from a warlord and a Karbwa girl from a local chiefdom at the coastal area. Both wives have each 4 children for him. The children were born within 3 years after the wedding ceremonies which took place in both capitals of both nations. All his children are living in Savaria and Karbwa. It was rumored that Festos would appoint his eldest son, Achiosius, 16, upon Karbwa and his eldest daughter, 15, upon Savaria. The harbour at Brigabo was the storing place of the money of the Karbwa ruler. His son, however, commanded the ambassadors to ship the money to the town Vimaya, which is upstream the Vimaya River. This because he will soon return to Savaria to visit his children. Furthermore, the ambassadors were commanded to fake the banking documents, in order to get another 300.000 silver coins. This happened. The ambassadors decided to bribe the harbor employees to leave the harbor for 3 days so they could escape. And they did. 2 days passed and a big argument erupted in the city council. There were complaints of a shortage in the budget of the city of 300.000 asses. The news was quite disturbing among the nobles. Such things seldom happened in the province. A huge investigation began and all the ministers were questioned by the criminal court and several arrests were made by the army. 9 days into the investigation the governor was informed about the matter. The governor commanded the municipality to remain quiet about the issue. The money that was stolen belonged to several Roman companies that provide for the legionaries at the river frontier. Instead, the governor found out that a guy named Althus resided there. Althus was the object of interest before, a couple of years back, in relation to some raids in the Kingdom Oricum and the Kingdom Rhaetia, both within the imperial borders. His relatives are known to be a criminal dynasty that operated in Italy, Peoria, Oricum and Rhaetia. The governor sends for an arrest warrant for Althus. When the 30 troops arrived to arrest the man, they couldn't find him anywhere. There were some slaves that maintained his mansion and apartment. Roxanne left with her children, with the 2 Rhaetian sisters, the 2 slaves of the Rhaetian sisters, in chariots to Lauriacum in Oricum. The night that she and Bethy discovered the empty harbour they became extremely suspicious. The next morning she told Althus about it. He allowed her to take the kids and leave. Althus requested to visit Rome, to visit some relatives. The municipality allowed him, because he showed patriotism for the empire which was seldom among the Jews. When the troops didn't find him, the governor commanded to keep an eye on his properties. The municipality informed the governor about his trip to Rome. Due to Althus being a Roman citizen with showed patriotism, he reversed the arrest warrant. Now it was a favor to serve the honorable Roman citizen. 11. In Lauriacum, Phaea, one of the slaves of the Rhaetian princesses, met a guy at the fountain. He was quite light-skinned, had reddish hair and blue eyes. He was surrounded by male servants. The guy approached Phaea and requested whom her master was. That evening the man dined at Roxanne and her company. His name was Festus. He's from the country Save area, which is at 11 days' travel away from Oricum. He is temporarily in Oricum before returning home to his children. He's from noble birth and has Roman citizenship also. Afterwards, he departed to his own apartment. When he left and the servants were cleaning up, Roxanne had a plan. She talked about it with the 2 princesses. Look, girls. I was thinking about binding that man to my household. How? Marriage. How can you marry him? You're already the wife of Althus. I know, but she takes a sip of her beer. It's not me that's gonna marry him. Who will? One of your slaves. Maybe Phaea. What for? Why do you want to be connected to him? Well, it often happens that sons of nobles or barbaric kings come over and live within the empire. So, if we align ourselves with a foreign royal house, we'll become more influential and more financially secure. But we are from Rhaetia. And you're German. True. Look. After the empty harbour past week and the news we've heard of a robbery of the bank in my town, I've realized that sometimes you have to advance yourself and not be stuck to only one place. True, true. Look, you both are single, right? Yeah. Become members of my household and let your slaves become mine. Wednesday, Phaea out to that guy. In return you get my permission to get children with my husband. But only 4 children. The sisters think about it. They agree. Your children with Althus will be from nobility then. And that will also make me of nobility, and my kids will benefit also. I want you ladies to find a way to arrange a full integration of my relatives in Rhaetia too. Fine. We will. In this manner you both have husband. And me and my relatives benefit also. The next day Roxanne visits the save area. Good afternoon. Roxanne. Why are you here? You're from save area nobility, right? Well, my dad is the king of both countries, Carboy and save area. That makes me the heir. All my kids and wives live in Carboy and save area. I received messages lately that my dad is quite sick. So I want to return to settle matters over there. Ah. That's ugly. Not fun at all. Of course not. But anyway. Everyone is born to pass away one day. I've accepted it. So. You're leaving? Yep, today. I have an idea. What is it? I want to send you a gift. Or better. I want to make a connection to your people. I'm from Germany, as you know. My husband is a Jew, and I didn't tell you yet, but those two female friends of mine are two Rhaetian princesses. We wanted to give you one of the Rhaetian slaves as a concubine. And we offer residence and employment for save areas and carboyers at our estate in the province Rhaetia. In this manner, your people will get easier access into the empire, which will benefit your people also. Interesting. And you'll be on the throne soon. I'll free the slave to become your mistress. It's all right. I'll do it. Under the condition that you will visit my area soon. We will. Where is the servant? Fia appeared into the apartment, in nothing but a transparent black bikini. She had makeup and perfume on also. Roxanne left. 1 hour later Fia returned. How was it? Roxanne informed. While offering her some bread. He made me come like 3 times. And I'm filled with his white fluid. So probably I'll conceive soon. Good. Roxanne was excited to hear that from now on you'll take it easy. No more labor for you. Soon you might go on a trip to Northern Europe. Bethy and Lot heard about what happened. They asked Roxanne when they will return back to Brigabo. We to wait another week. She bites into a plum. Meanwhile then, I'll get to know you two better. 12. That night when the sisters were sleeping, Roxanne crept into their room and closed the door behind her. Bethy was sleeping near the door, while Lot was at the window. The floor is heated, so the cold outside doesn't affect them. Outside she can see the Daub River and soldiers marching around. There are around 10,000 troops stationed at Lauriacum, and around 50,000 civilians who live at the settlement. Many of them are German merchants who temporarily lodge with their families before returning to their homeland. Roxanne lifts the blanket and lies next to Lot, with her arms around her. Lot wakes up and finds her holding her, whispering, "Rox. It's all right, dear." She squeezes in her belly. "I was just a bit lonely." All right, all right. Next time just tell me, okay?" A few minutes passed by. Roxanne. Lot points to the river outside the window. "You crossed this river when you came to Rhaetia. Althus and I traveled via the kingdom Bohemia, which is also the homeland of the Marcomae tribe. The kingdom Bohemia is a client kingdom of the Roman Empire, outside their imperial border. Many of the people over there also have Roman citizenship and they have cities built in the Greek style. We lodged at several villages before continuing to Vidobor, which is about 18 hours by horse away from here. At Vidobor we continued to Lauriacum, this place, and we settled in Ovilaba. The river was almost frozen at the time because it was winter. During the winter season some of the German rivers become as ice and people can just walk over them without any danger. How long did it take? About 7 months. But we didn't travel one way. We were just being expats. I would like to cross the river soon. My family often talks about the barbarians and how uncivilized they are. The lack of roads and fortified cities. But still, I want to go. We can go to Savaria soon. Maybe in a year from now after Phia has given birth to Festos' child. That child will be a prince or princess, so be sure that his dad will come after his offspring. That's if she conceives. I hope she does, then we have an excuse for entering their territory. It will take around 11 days to go from here to Savaria and Carboa according to Festos. That's not long. If we follow the German roads. We to see, Lot, we'll see. 13. While the two girls were whispering, a group of men arrived at the apartment of Festos. The men were carrying bags with them. In those bags were the 300,000 silver coins that they defrauded from the bank at Brigabo. Festos, with the help of a bribed soldier, loaded the cargo in ships. The same night Festos with his servants and the cargo left the harbour of Lauriacum. In the morning they reached the city Adusecum, which is right outside the imperial border, a few minutes away from Caerulum, in the province Peroia. In the morning Bethy was still sleeping. Lot woke up. Roxanne. She pinches her cheeks. Rox. Hua. It's morning. Come. Let's go to the baths. Both girls leave towards the public bath. Most people are still sleeping, they only encounter a few soldiers who are serving as night guards. At the bath they encounter that the water is already heated. While they were bathing, they heard some cavalry raging in the streets. Let's go and look what's going on. Hold on. Let's go and see. They both put on their towels and hide behind the gate of the bath. Outside there are around 300 armed horsemen. What's going on? 3 centurions approach a captain. Sir. Yesterday a band of robbers fled the city Ovilaba and headed towards this area. They had stolen 300,000 asses from the military treasury in Rhaetia. It is rumored that they have made a deal with some German warlord to finance troops against the empire. We will send her immediately to assist you in case any rebellion would occur. Look. You have my permission to operate in this jurisdiction. I want you to investigate every merchant and every barbaric family that's lodging in this city. Everyone not from this province ought to be interrogated. Everyone that's suspected of anything must be cast into chains immediately. The small cavalry move on. We are the foreigners here. Roxanne mentioned so. Lot grabs her arm. Why are you worried? Did you just hear that happened? We are innocent. That doesn't matter. When things go out of control, they will always look for someone to blame. That's how the world operates. I have children here and I'm the one that wanted to come here. I don't want to be responsible for any of us getting harmed. Come, let's get dressed. We are leaving this place today before noon. To where? Get dressed. 14. When the two women arrived at the apartment, they gather everyone and everyone gets dressed to leave. When they pass through the streets, they notice that there are horsemen stationed everywhere. This is getting quite ugly. Fia is scared. We should escape as soon as possible. What do you think we are doing? Lot mentions we will need to find some chariot that's willingly to transport us somewhere else. When they reach a barn, Bethy goes inside to inform. She finds two riders who are willing to transport them to any town in Oricum. Roxanne agreed with it and they pay for a ride to Viruum city, which is in the south, at the Dravus River, near the provincial border with Italy. The trip will take 2.5 days. Roxanne, Fia, Sia, Lot, Bethy, the children of Roxanne and the 4 male and 9 female servants leave that morning. When the chariots were in the city, a big fight broke loose between some soldiers and merchants. The whole city became chaotic as civilians came out of her homes to see what was happening. The 200 horsemen had difficulty controlling the masses. While they were riding towards the city border, they were stopped by 2 centurions. Where are you going? We are hired to bring these 2 families to the district Ambildea. They are tourists and Roman citizens. The centurions believe it and allow them to pass. They escaped a great tribulation right on time. If they would have remained any longer in the city, they would have been held captive by the troops. That was close. We're not going back to that place for a while. When the chariots were on their way, they encountered several villages that were empty. Furthermore, from time to time a wild animal would cross the road and they had to shoot it with the arrows to prevent it from harming the horses. Isn't it strange that we encounter many empty villages? Fia tries to see if Roxanne is noticing it also. I am not sure what's going on here. Well, Roxanne, I think we need to stay in Viruum for a while. I feel like war is coming near the door. So am I. Let's just hope we're safe in the mountainous south. Fruum city is also close to the Italian Aquileia, which has around 240,000 people living in that area. It's the safest Roman city near the Italian border. So, we can always go further to the south when needed. 15. In the city Lauriacum 22 men are arrested and 12 soldiers are killed and 5 horses injured. The civilians are commanded to stay in their homes and not to leave town. Only when necessary they are permitted to move far away from their homes. 12 German families were forced to cross the Dorp border. The governor of northern Oricum was informed about what happened. Shocked and scared, he arrived immediately accompanied by 50 troops. In the city the governor commanded half of the troops to leave, in order to bring relief to the civilians. The governor is a former legionary which served in Moesia. He experienced that when there is too much armed presence, the civilians will lose their trust in the troops. Several times this led to anarchy in certain Moesia cities with hundreds of dead civilians as the consequence. He doesn't want to have any of that happening under his jurisdiction. In the province Rhaetia, the governor and the two client kings agreed to plunder the synagogues in order to compensate for the loss of 300 grand. The Hebrews in Rhaetia were wealthy and always kept their wealth in their own families and kin. The plunder brought them 23,000 denarii, which has the same value as 230,000 asses. The governor of Rhaetia agreed that this was sufficient for now. The legionaries and weapon industry could be paid and the province is spared from a possible economic collapse. The house of Althus was not plundered because he was considered a Roman citizen, which contributed to the welfare of the state. There were, however, rumors that they had tons of Lusitania gold hidden in their mansion. Rumors are quite common, especially of non-natives of the area. Because of that, the municipality didn't bother to investigate it. 16. Althus, also called Simon, was alarmed by the rabbi of the local synagogue at Rome that the Romans wanted to kill him. As a Roman citizen, this could only happen after a trial, and he was found guilty. Even so, he could not be crucified according to Roman law. However, the rabbi explained to him, laws are often ignored in times of political distress. Simon was advised by the rabbi and the Hebrews to flee after the Sabbath. That same evening, before the Sabbath ended, a letter arrived from southern Oricum. It was aimed for Simon. Simon. I'm in Oricum at the moment. In the city Viaruum at the Dravus River. After you left, we traveled to Lauriacum. After a week over there, a controversy arose among the civilians concerning a potential invasion of the province. We left the same day we heard of it, and we witnessed bloodshed in the city between the Roman guards and some German merchants. We are now staying in Oricum Mediterraneum, and I would like you to come over here instead of going to Brigabo. We don't know much about the situation around the Dorp front, but we are safe over here. The two Rhaetian princesses are fine and they are now part of our household. They've requested to live with us, and I agreed on the condition that they would provide themselves as surrogate mothers for your future children. Furthermore, one of the Rhaetian sisters told me that they have 3 million Lusitania denarii at our mansion in Videlicia. When you receive this message, come speedily to the Dravus district. If you can't come, then return a message before going back to Brigabo. The children also long to see you. Be careful. Greetings. Your wife, Roxanne. After reading the letter, Simon gives thanks to the elders at the synagogue and he departs towards the city Raevia, which he reaches within 29 hours. At Raevia he visits the house of his uncle, Salem, who is the leader of a band of thugs in that area. His uncle is wanted in Peroia for his involvement with the murder of 81 gang members. Therefore he left with his family and they settled in Raevia, Italy. He didn't expect to see Simon. 17. Salem was informed by Simon about the circumstances in Rhaetia and of his wife and children who were in southern Oricum. Salem advised him to remain in Oricum for at least 2 months, assisted by a small army of Italian Hebrew thugs. Simon rented 40 thugs, fierce men, professionals in robbery and trespassing, to assist him on his trip to Oricum. The men traveled by small horses, while Simon went by chariot. Simon reached Viarum within 4 days, and the thugs arrived 3 days later. The thugs plundered some military chariots and took the spoil for themselves and gave half of it over to Simon. After 1 week in Viarum, Simon decides to send 10 spies to his mansion in Rhaetia. One of the spies was informed, by Roxanne, about the Lusitania denarii that was stored in one of the rooms. Roxanne wanted him to bring one bag with 140,000 denarii back to Viurum. Within a week the spies returned and they reported that the government wasn't looking for Simon any longer. They did found out that there was war around the Dorp, due to threats from Germanic immigrants that were plundering the Roman harbors. Simon paid each warrior 200 denarii and 6,000 copper coins. Together he paid 8,000 denarii and 240,000 copper coins. The men were told purchase plots of land in Oricum, in the south, and to build houses and live there. Salem was informed and he agreed with it. The same day, in the third week after the arrival of Simon in Viurum, a group of Hebrew Israelites from the Nigerian Delta, at the Ethiopian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean at West Africa, arrived in Raevia with gifts from King Mosiahu, the ruler of a Benjamite tribe of 85,000 Benjamite Israelites. He desired to establish a stronghold in Italy. This to assist Israelites in Italy and the Alps economically. The 80 ministers that visited Salem informed for Simon. When they heard that Simon was in Oricum, they've sent 20 of them to visit him. One of them was named Semiahu, the chief of the naval officers of King Mosiahu's navy. He led the expedition towards Italy. The journey took 2.5 months. When the 20 men arrived in Viurum, they found Simon at a public fountain, at the river. Semiahu discussed with him to get into a treaty. Simon agreed to invest in Israelite villages in the Alpine area and for laborers, so that the Israelites wouldn't be too dependent upon the Gentiles and the Roman economy. The men had false documents with them with which they pretended to be Mauritians, which had limited Latin rights. 2 days after Simon and the 20 agreed on a written treaty, Simon went to the magistrates of the local provincial government and he purchased several plots of land at the mountains that are at the provincial border with Italy. It was an uninhabited region. A place where nobody wanted to live nor build farms. He paid 50,000 denarii for the acres of land. The 20 men returned to Raevia and left with the others back to the Nigerian Delta. It would take 4 months before the first Benjamite migrants would arrive in Oricum to live in the purchased plots of land. After the men left Viurum, Roxanne held a feast in a squatted building. The building used to be a town hall of a ghost town just a few hours away from Viurum, at the riverside. The city has been empty for 9 years and nobody even wants to pass by the roads of the place. Only postal and military services pass by the town. Roxanne invited many of the Roman girls and Orica women to attend her 5 days feast. 18. The city council of Claudia Virium, the provincial capital of Oricum, divided the region between the capital and the southern provincial borders with Italy and Peroia, into several districts. Each district was under the surveillance of a prefect who is elected by the citizens of Viurum and the surrounding cities and appointed by the governor. Each district has the responsibility to police the mining industry, regulating the migration, settling legal disputes between corporations and the management of the forests and other natural resources. The region has become the target of illegal immigrants who plunder the villages and cities. Most of those illegal immigrants are incarcerated and released after several months, some of them are executed to appease the anger of the communities. At the Viruem Lake there's a small immigrant town where many Frisians and Batavians are settled. The population is around 500 people. One of them is Herman, who's a Batavia gardener that migrated to Oricum with his family to avoid the economic recession in his hometown. He had many alleged debts to local farmers. Because of the Roman law they were not permitted to confiscate his property unless the civil court decided upon the case. The civil court became occupied with many other cases, so his case was delayed for 3 years. After the 3 years the judge didn't decide anything. His creditors became impatient and kept on pressing on the court to bring Herman and his household into slavery as compensation. The same they did for all other debtors. Within 2 months the civil court found out about some illegal transactions that those farmers made to soldiers. The scandal was so enormous that some of the military officials resigned to avoid further trouble. Besides that, the farmers were not entitled nor permitted by law to loan capital to anyone without Roman citizenship. Because of this the judge gave them 2 options, either to pay a fine of 750 aureus each, or to cancel all their outstanding debts and to pay each of their victims 1200 denarius compensation. The creditors paid the fine to Herman and they left him alone since then. After that Herman fled from his hometown to avoid possible retaliation from the relatives of those farmers who didn't agree with the civil judge's verdict. But that's not all. He also found out that he never had any debt. It was 3/4 of his rightful salary of 12 years' employment that his former employers withheld from him. He was shocked when he realized this theft. But that's not the most shocking. His neighbors and relatives knew about it, but they willingly kept him in the dark about it. This because of their envy. They didn't want him to succeed in life. They needed a failure around them in order to charge that victim with their own disappointments and hatred. When Herman realized this and received the fine paid by the farmers, he left suddenly without telling anyone. He also left a son from a former marriage behind who was also spying on him. Herman arrived in Ovilaba with his wife and 4 children, after a journey of a whole week. There he was sent to the provincial capital to register himself. He bribed an official with 130 denarius in exchange for a faster procedure. He received Latin rights and a small farmhouse in a town near the lake. The farmhouse was abandoned by their owners 24 years ago. He has been living there for 14 years already. Never did he return to his hometown. He has a daughter named Eileen, who became a professional painter, model and singer. She is often hired for local ceremonies, parties and inaugurations. Eileen became acquainted with Roxanne during one of her feasts. 19. Roxanne invited Eileen over for some tea. Tea is a Chinese product that's mostly imported by Italian aristocrats. It's very expensive. Around 3 denarius for 1 bag with tea leaves. Roxanne's 5-day party is already in its 4th day. The ghost town has 23 houses, a central building, a bathhouse, stable streets, 3 fresh water wells, a public toilet, a wine basement and 3 farms around it. Roxanne took possession of the village. Due to her being a woman she cannot have property rights, because of that she couldn't purchase the village at the provincial administration. Althus also didn't have any interest in purchasing the small town. Nevertheless, Roxanne succeeded in registering the town and all the town's resources on the name her slave's son Cyrus. This way she would remain the legal guardian of the property, because children of slaves don't have property rights. She renamed the town Civitas Aurici Rosa Anna, Latin for the Auric town of Rosa. Roxanne gave 21 Auric teenage girls a job at her town, and as compensation they are permitted to live in the town. Furthermore, there are 18 Roman women, from Italian families, who moved to the village. Roxanne heard her new citizens talk about a well-known artist from Batavia who resided at the Lakes district. So she summoned her, Eileen, to come. Roxanne had hired, before her feast, 14 construction workers to clean the whole town, which was vacant for years. 5 of the construction workers are now managers of the farms and are permitted to retain half of the future income of the land. The other 9 were sojourners who moved on. Roxanne made the central building into her new house. It has a central hall, a civil court, and 5 large rooms with small baths. Furthermore, it has a dungeon where prisoners were kept. She made the civil court room her living room. The former seat of the judge became her personal desk with an overview upon the whole room. Eileen was guided into the room by one of the Roman women. Eileen wore a brown robe, which was a bit transparent. Furthermore, she wore a few silver rings and 2 golden necklaces. Also, she wore black sandals with black knee socks. She has fine blonde hair, decorated with a purple rose, a fake flower. And she held onto a purse with coins in it. Roxanne waved the other woman to leave. "Welcome to my court, Eileen, I've heard about you. I am pleased to be here." She smiled. "What can I do for you?" "I've purchased this town about 2 weeks ago. I want to make it my second home. I would like to hire you as a painter here. You will be permitted to live inside this central building. You'll get one of the large rooms. Your room will have its own small bath and you'll be free to eat and drink from the basement storage below. Your father will be paid 1 aureus, a golden coin, worth 25 denarius, a month for you being here." "Sounds good. But whom should I paint?" "It doesn't matter. Decorate the halls of the buildings with beautiful paintings of women, men, sexual scenes, flowers, landscapes. Whatever your imaginations bring up inside of you. It's my aim to make this town as lovely and artistic as possible." "Good. I'm honored. Are you a Roman?" "Call me Roxanne. That's my German name. It's derived from the Latin Rosa Anna. My husband is a Jewish politician in the province Rhaetia. I do enjoy the benefits of Roman citizenship, because of my husband." "You're wearing a crown, Roxanne?" "Yeah. I found this crown in Frisia, while me and my husband, who was my lover back then, were fleeing for the Roman authorities in Lower Germany. It was left behind by some local Germanic prince in an abandoned hostel. So I took it with me and the rest of the silver and gold that was left behind." "So you're wealthy now?" "Of course. And we have a large farmhouse in Rhaetia too. But the province is in turmoil and there are a lot of civil gangs who are fighting the government. So I hoped to have another place here. So when I found this town, I managed to seize it by bribing 2 administrative workers at the provincial office. I've heard about this town. Several years back, there were mass murders here. 148 people died. The act was blamed on a political resistance group that allegedly fights for Oricum's secession from the Roman Empire. At least, that's what the authorities said. Most people didn't believe it. A few months later it was discovered that there were no political anti-Roman groups operating in Oricum at all. Oricum always remained economically independent of Rome even after it became an administrative province under Emperor Claudius. This province is wealthy and we have our local laws and regulations which are dominant above the Roman regulations that only concerns taxes and traffic payments. Also, refugees from other provinces, like my father and my family, are easily accepted here. So the whole report made no sense at all. Also, there were many Roman citizens that left the south of Oricum after the attack. They returned to Italy where their grandparents came from. Emperor Trajan ordered, with agreement of the Senate, to ban any investigation concerning the massacre. This also because there were plans to annex the Dacia Federation into the empire, which later happened. So most of the attention went to Dacia. Later, there was also a big conquest of Western Parthia and Armenia, which also cost the empire a lot of money. So the case went cold. Those that were left in this town, 93 people, left and never returned. It has been 10 years and 5 months since the massacre, and for 9 years and 3 months this city has been a ghost town till now. What do you think that happened, Eileen? I believe the rivalries and jealousies among the civilians took its toll. Envy is like a wildfire. The more you try to quench it, the more it inflames. The more you want to appease the fire, the more it rages. The anger of envy and jealousy always leads to bloodshed. For this reason, I believe, the Romans have instituted gladiator fights and races in arenas throughout the empire, to give the populations within the empire an outlet for their frustrations. Well, in this case it didn't work. I simply believe, based on evidence, that people began to fight each other physically and it escalated to mass murder. I was 11 at the time the massacre took place. There was a local businessman who came from a family of freed slaves. His success in sales didn't please his relatives. His relatives began to slander him. This led to rage against the relatives. And these rumors and arguments kept going on for a long time, and I believe that that's the cause of the massacre. The success of that freed slave. You know, Roxanne, people can't handle it when you outgrow the limitations they've imagined about you. When this happens, it will embarrass them. Because people are often too proud to admit their wrongs, they will avoid reality, and when that doesn't work, most of the time it doesn't work, they will resort to violence to save themselves from having to deal with their own self-inflicted guilt, shame and embarrassment. My father fled Lower Germany due to the hurt feelings of the people in our hometown. I cannot remember much of it anymore. I was 7 at the time. I do remember that my father wasn't liked nor loved by his surroundings. The only reason, I believe, that nobody laid a hand on him was because of the legal penalties that the government inflicts on acts of violence. My father is not a man who gives in to lies. He wants to stay free from gossip and slander. This attitude wasn't tolerated by the people in our hometown nor by our close and extended relatives. Dad told me he left to protect us from being harmed. I'm glad he did. We are happy here and safe. Eileen notices that Roxanne is checking out her knee socks. You like these, Roxanne. I can get some for you too. That would be great. XX. Althus returned to Rhaetia with his children and he left Roxanne with Bethy and Lot at Roxanne's town. There are 35 thugs that guard Roxanne's town. Former robbers from Judea that haunted the northern Italian towns for years. Eileen painted 22 paintings within her first month at Roxanne's court. And 50 smaller paintings within the following 2 months. She felt at home over there. Her family frequently visited her. Roxanne also held feasts on the Sabbath for the Hebrew guards that guarded her town. The population of the town now was 39 Orica women, 29 Roman women, the 35 thugs that camped just outside the town, the 5 construction workers with their 20 slaves, male and females, and 15 young men who were detained for minor crimes. Roxanne paid off the criminal court to set them free. In exchange, they came and worked for Roxanne in her village. Roxanne lived separately in the central building with the 2 Rhaetian sisters with their 2 female slaves Phia and Quia, Eileen and 5 additional Rhaetian servants that the 2 Rhaetian princesses requested from their parents. Phia was pregnant of Festos' child. Also, Bethy and Lot conceived after they visited Althus 2 weeks earlier. On an afternoon, there was a messenger, accompanied by 2 soldiers, that traveled towards Roxanne's town. 5 of the Hebrew guards stopped them. "What are you coming here for?" "My name is Drustus Civilius, a military postal messenger. I serve at the military town of Vidobor. We received a sealed letter from the country Savaria. It is meant for a Germanic noblewoman named Roxanne. We informed at Viruum about this woman. We found out she resides in this remote town here. We are ordered to deliver the message to her personally." The guards lead them towards the central building of the town. One of them informed Roxanne, who comes outside and receives the letter. After reception, the messenger and soldiers depart. Inside she opens and reads, "Greetings to you, Roxanne. On the request of Festos II, the king of Carboa, Savaria and Velta, we invite you to attend the wedding of his eldest son. The wedding is postponed till your arrival is sure. You are requited to bring your servants with you. The king is pleased with your hospitality when he was still in Oricum. There are chariots ready at Vidobor to transfer you through the Sommatian highways to our capital. The journey will take 6 days. You will reside in luxury apartments, during the wedding week, decorated after the Roman style. After this you will be escorted to the capital of the province Velta, where you will reside at a big farm. Your stay in Savaria will be 20 days. With kind regards, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Savaria." She reads the letter also in front of the 2 Rhaetian sisters and their 2 most intimate slaves. Roxanne installs Eileen in charge of the village. The next morning she leaves without anyone else knowing about it. "If people ask where I am, tell them I'm visiting my husband in Rhaetia for a few days," she commanded Eileen. "I trust you." Roxanne understood that Festos might consider the possibility that Phia is pregnant. She also understood that this invitation was a trick to see Phia. 21. 2 days after Roxanne, Bethy, Lot, Quia, Phia and the other 5 servants left towards Vidobor, Eileen invited one of her best friends over to Roxanne's village. Her name is Soliga, she's from an Auric family of blacksmiths. Eileen paints her and makes a sculpture of her, both on the same day. That evening, far removed in Vidobor, Roxanne and her crew cross the Doub River. They meet 9 chariots with race horses awaiting them. The riders are auxiliary troops. There's an international Germanic road that goes through the east of Greater Germany and ends at the shores of the Kingdom Velta, at the Baltic Sea. The road has been built by the Celtic and Germanic slaves some 202 years ago. And it was financed by Greek and German noblemen. The road offers the inhabitants of the Alpine region a safe connection through the woods of Greater Germany towards the Baltic Sea region. The road is frequently used by diplomats, ambassadors, merchants and refugees who seek refuge within the Roman Empire. The road is broad enough for traffic from both sides, and there are smaller local roads in Greater Germany that are connected to the highway. Beside the road there are several small towns with hostels, bathhouses and food supply for horses. How long will it take before we arrive? Fia asks. It's becoming dark. Isn't it dangerous to travel at this time? I mean, we are not within the empire, we're entering barbaric land. Fear not. One of the riders command her with a stern voice. I've traveled often through Sarmatia and Greater Germany. The international roads are quite safe. And our horses are trained to go long distances for long hours. Furthermore, we can switch horses at any of the local towns. From here to Velta will be 4 days. We will stop twice at a local town to change horses and get some food supplies. Roxanne brought a few small boxes with her. In these boxes are together 200.000 golden Lusitania coins. This is just in case they would run out of money. The Lusitania gold is the gold that the Rhaetian sisters gained by tricking the Gaulish harbour in Massalia. The rest of the Lusitania coins are kept within Althu's farmhouse in Brigabo. What Roxanne isn't aware of is that she is not the only one heading towards Savaria. Also, she couldn't imagine what was about to happen to her village next. 22. Bartos, a cousin of Eileen, found out where his uncle migrated to. He received a hint from an old lady who told him that his uncle often talked about Oricum. So after Bartos arrived in the provincial capital Viaruum, he went into the archives. After about 2 weeks he finally got a clue. There was a small town at the Dravus Lake, inhabited by mostly immigrants from the provinces Lower and Upper Germany. He found one the name of his uncle. He registered around 14 years and 2 months ago together with his wife. He has become a forest manager and has a good standing within the community. Bartos rented an ass, donkey, and traveled towards the town. However, while he was on his way he saw a side road towards a town called Roces Auric Town. The sign on the road indicated that the town was only 4 kilometers away. The ass was tired, so he decided to head towards this town to lodge. Bartos is 28 at the time and he has been in jail several times for minor offenses. He has even been banned from some towns in Batavia. He received a deal from the local authorities in his uncle's former hometown, to find out where his uncle is. In return he would be paid 100 aureus. He was paid 2 aureus in advance. The other 98 he would receive when he handed in his uncle. He didn't see his uncle nor his wife and children for 14 years already. The children are all grown up now and maybe he even had other children also. He is nervous and scared. What if his uncle recognizes him and decides to kill him? What if he comes all the way here and his uncle isn't there anymore? He cannot return back home anyway. Nobody wants him there. Also, his money is almost finished. 1 aureus is already spent to travel and lodge past 3 weeks since his departure from Batavia. The other aureus he has changed into denarius coins. 10 of the 25 denarius are already gone. He will be out of money soon. Maybe this Rosar town will have some work for me. When he came near the town he saw some guards marching around on her horses. They were strong black men with swords and spears. It was night, so he had the advantage of passing by them through the woods. He managed to do this speedily without being noticed. 23. Bartos arrived in the town and some of the women were carrying their goods around. He also encountered one elder man who was gazing at the starry night. "Sir, can I help you?" In Auric language, one of the locals approached him. Bartos doesn't understand what she's saying. "Can I help you, sir?" In Auric language. "I can't understand you," in Greek, Bartos replied. The local leaves and gets another local to talk to him. "Good evening, sir. You speak Greek, I hope?" Greek. This woman has a hard and strong voice. It scares Bartos. "Yes, I do. What can we do for you?" "I am looking for a hostel to lodge. Or a farmhouse if possible." "Hold on." She returns after a few minutes. "Come this way, sir." He follows her towards something that looks like a municipal house. It's a tiny building built after the style of the Roman seats of government. "Come inside." He parks his ass at one of the pillars and enters together with the local. Inside he is led to something like a courtroom where a young woman is seated on the chair. She's wearing white with a lot of silver necklaces. What kind of madness is this? Bartos thinks within himself, a woman as a judge. That's not even legally possible. The local talks with the woman on the seat, in the Celtic Auric language. Bartos doesn't understand a word that's being spoken. "Governor, this man arrived this evening with his ass in our town. I'm not sure where he's from. He doesn't carry any weapons, neither did he give any hostile impression when I interacted with them. The other locals are a bit suspicious about him. He seems like a foreigner and he doesn't understand the Celtic dialect of Oricum. What does he want?" "He is here to lodge. He is looking for a hostel or a farmhouse to spend the night. He has an ass with him and some baggage. He doesn't smell good either, so I assume he's not wealthy. If he was wealthy he wouldn't be traveling by an ass." "True. What shall I do with him?" "Hold on." Eileen grabs a piece of paper and quickly draws the face of the man up the paper. It only took her 2 minutes. "All right. Bring him to the basement. There's a small room down there with a little bath tube. Let him stay there. Not together with the wine and oil storage, but in the other side of the basement. Give him food and drink. Before that, get 2 guards to guard the basement for me. Tomorrow I'll investigate the man any further. For now, I want to sleep. It's late. Italia, you can leave now together with his man." Italia does as she's commanded. Within several minutes 2 guards arrive and bring Bartos to his room in the basement. His backpack is confiscated and delivered unto Eileen. Eileen goes through the stuff. She notices a bag with money, with only 15 denarius and 14 asses coins in it. Further, she finds a small book with notes in it. Also, she finds 2 small scrolls. Furthermore, he only had a few loaves of bread in his bag and a small bottle of spring water. She opens one of the scrolls. It's written in Latin letters, but it's the Batavia language. She can understand what's written. When you find Ommius Saltivius, message us immediately of your location. Use the military postal service. That will take only a few days. The costs will be refunded to you after you receive your last payment. Eileen becomes quite suspicious of this message. She opens the other scroll. This one is in Greek. Herman Galtova, 34, from the town Rhaetian, of the district Batavia Hyum, has applied for Latin right at City Claudia Viaruum. His application has been approved by the Provincial Council. He, his wife Alina Galtova 29, and their children are now under the providence of Latin jurisdiction and are considered Latin citizens of the municipality Claudia Viaruum. They are entitled to legal protections under the laws of the province Oricum and the regional laws of the Celtic tribes that administer under the guardian of the governor of Oricum. Herman. That's the same name as Dad's, she thinks. But Herman is a common boy's name in Lower Germany and the Latin version is Ommius. The spelling of the names are quite similar. Eileen doesn't even know her real last name. Her father changed their last name when came to Viaruum years back, this to hinder him from being traced. Her mother's name is Kilia, not Alina. Also, they used to live in Geldropa Civitas. She doesn't even know the town they talk about here. So it couldn't possibly be about Dad, she thought. Eileen began to think this man might be an assassin working for the government. She disliked the idea of aiding an assassin while the town is under her care. Yet, she didn't want to accuse anyone of anything without any evidence to back up her claim. She took off her clothes and took a warm bath. Excessive. Roxanne and her friends crossed the last river of Greater Germany and they are now passing the border of the Kingdom Velta, which is temporarily seized by the Kingdom Save area. The border has only some landmarks on the highway. The villages around the border are abandoned. The chariots ride slowly by the landmarks. After an half-hour they encounter a few Veltia civilians carrying some wood. Temperatures tend to drop quickly in this area. They stop by an inn, to feed the horses. Roxanne noticed that some of the civilians looked at the chariots with suspicion. How long before we arrive? I don't know. The journey would be 6 days. We are already 8 days on our way. This is Velta. So we are close to Save area. Is Festos the king of Velta also? Velta is guarded by Save area for a while, due to the instability of this country. Ah. I see. Anyway. We will be there by tomorrow, I guess. Indeed. Well, I did enjoy the landscape of Greater Germany. It's like a jungle over there. There are roads towards towns and capitals, yet it's easy to get lost if you're not careful. While the others are talking, Roxanne recognized someone that approached the chariot. She seems like a poor lady. She knocked on the chariot. Lot opened. Is Roxanne here? Germanic language. Roxanne heard it. Here. Come for a moment. Roxanne leaves the chariot and follows the alleged peasant towards the inn. She leads Roxanne to a bathroom/swimming pool. There she takes off her disguise. Oh dear. Diana. Yes. It's me. How did you knew I was in the chariot? After you've left with Althus to Oricum, I remained in Arygos. One day a crown prince visited Arygos for haunting with other noblemen. There I became acquainted with him, and within 2 months I became his mistress. I left with him back to his homeland Carboa. Later he left to Moesia, in the Roman Empire. When he returned he spoke about a Roxanne from Phrygia that he met. So I knew it was you. So I urged him to invite you over. Also, I bribed the chariot drivers to take his slow route, knowing that you would have to pass by this road. So you could meet me. That's right. Diana pinches her cheeks. You're just as beautiful as all those years back. How is your child? I have many more kids. So, tell me more about your life over there. Hold on. Diana, you're still the mistress of this Savaria Carboa head of state. Yeah. Would you want something better? Mistresses aren't always welcome. You know. True. His children hate me. I know what. Why don't you buy your own house or let people build your own house over there in Velta? There's wood and place enough. I don't have the resources for such a project. Roxanne pulls some Lusitania gold out of her pockets. Here. 16 Lusitania golden coins. Roxanne pushes the coins into her hands, and we have a lot of more gold from Lusitania with us. Well. It's great to see you again. Roxanne takes off her clothes and dives into the warm pool. It has been 8 days since she took a bath.